In this video, we're going to add some more styling to our page. And I mentioned last time kind of a glitch, or maybe I put it in the comments on D2L about there's kind of a glitch in our preview version. I'll show you what I mean. So this is our file from last time. There's my HTML. We separated out our style sheet, and I'm going to preview this. And we were at this point. When I click on, for instance, part 3, nothing happens. I click it again, it jumps down to 3. Let me show you what happens, what should happen. This version, same file, I just opened it directly from File, Open, instead of going through brackets, and just to test it. And so in this case, everything works as it should. I jump to part 1, it goes to part 1, part 2, part 4. Notice part 4 does not go to the top of the screen because my page is not deep enough to allow for that. So that's just, it can't scroll any further because that's as far as it'll go. Alright, so we know that's working. And we're going to focus on our style sheet first. So you can change the relative size of these, so I'll just pop that up. And I'm going to put in some more styles. And so put some space down here so you can see. And I'm going to start with my header. So tab over, header. Oh, well, once you go over there, we'll worry about the indents later. We're going to give our header a height, and let's give it a height of 300 pixels, and let's give it text align center. We're going to also put an image in our header, so we're going to do a header img, that in, and let's put our height in there. So I'm just going to take my height out of here and put it in here. And I'll get rid of that space. Okay. Notice when I put a space between header and image, it's the last thing that is actually being styled. So I'm not styling the header, I'm styling an image, but the image has to be inside of or a child of the header. And if we look at our HTML, we can see that our header is up here. It doesn't have an image in it yet, but it's going to in a minute. So we're styling that. We're going to set the height to 300 and the width to auto. That'll just keep it scaled proportionally. Okay. And then let's style our nav. So we put in the nav last time, and we put in just those anchor tags. And so let's do this. Let's also do our text align center. And let's do padding top. Not a lot. We're going to put 4 points of padding on the top. Margin bottom 10. Looks 10. PT. PT is short or point, which is a typographic unit of measurement. There's 72 points in an inch, so it's a pretty small unit. And we're going to give this height to our nav of 34 px. Px is pixels. And we'll give it a background color. And we'll use burly wood for now. And we'll save that. So again, good to save now and then. And let's continue with our nav. And we're going to define a class called sticky. So dot is how we define a class. This means that, this case, sticky has to be a class assigned to nav. And so the position is going to be sticky. And here we're also going to add a position WebKit sticky. This just makes it more browser compatible for some older versions of some of the WebKit browsers, which is Safari, Chrome, and several others, needed a browser prefix. The newer ones probably don't, but it won't hurt to have it in there. We also want to style our links, which by default we saw they are blue and underlined. And so again, we go to nav, and then the A is the anchor tag. So again, it's an anchor tag that and this condition is it needs to be a child of or inside of the nav box. And we'll set the font family. So I think I'll use a font called Gil Sans, and if that's not available, I'll use some other sans serif, just so it stands out a little bit from the text which we did, which is all Palatino. And I'm going to get rid of color, and I'll just use brown for now. I'm going to give it a size, font, size, let's make it 16 points. I'm going to set the text decoration to none. That will get rid of the underline. And I want to put a little space around this, so I'm going to do padding of 16 points. And let's also put a hover on there. So that's just going to be to change the color of the link when I hover over it. So we'll do nav a colon hover, and I'm going to set just the color to I'll just make it black and save that. The last thing we want to style in this example, we'll do more in the next tutorial, but let's finish this one up, is the spacer. There's going to be more than one, so we're going to use a class. And again, the dot at the beginning means that we're defining a class. And we're going to give it a height of 38 points. I'm sorry, pixels. Background. Okay, this one we're going to put an image in. If you remember the preview we did of the whole of this finished version earlier, there was a picture in there. We're going to do URL, and once I type URL in parentheses, it actually gives me a list of the pictures that are in my file, other stuff too, but I want the bug small PNG. Okay. And that's going to insert the image into as a background image. And we're going to do background position, which is down here somewhere. We're going to center it. And I don't, by default, if I have an image in as a background, it will tile the image. It'll fill the whole div or box or space or whatever it is will get filled with the image, repeated over and over again at its normal size. But we don't want it to repeat, so we're going to do background repeat. And we want no repeat. And save that. Okay, so we've added this chunk of code, and now we'll go back and look at our HTML. So notice we put in these divs, and right now there's nothing in them. We're not going to put anything in them. They're empty, but they do have a background image now, and they've got a class equal spacer. Notice you do not put the period when you put it in here. Same with the ID, you don't put the hashtag in. So now if we save this, make sure you're clicked into the top panel, and we'll see what it looks like. And there's our little bug. Okay. And there's our styled nav. We haven't put an image in the header yet. We're going to do that soon, but when I click on these, then again, because I'm previewing in brackets, I have to click twice, and so now it jumps to part 3, and the bug is up here. The bug is going to be hidden behind our nav once the sticky takes over. All right, so let's save it at this point. I think I go back to save all, and I think that's enough for this session. I don't want to make these too long, and I'll do another one later today. So we will finish up our styling. We're getting close. All right, let's stop this.